So, as you may or may not know, I always begin our prayerful meditation with a certain selection taken from the Siddur of our preliminary type services that are meant to help stir us, awaken us, etc. But then we also will include a special portion that is different each time we do this as a way of sharpening our reflections in some other more focused way. This week we are going to use this, which is one of the more intimidating objects that people will come across in Jewish services. But don't worry, this is just going to be your buddy for today. It's not going to be something I'm going to make you read out loud in front of the class. So it's fine. We have been called the people of the book by others. Wasn't meant as a compliment at the time, but it's one that we have taken and reclaimed as indeed being a compliment. When people called us that, however, they were saying that we were not having the right relationship with our book, that we were too legalistic, that we were hair-splitting, or that we had, in fact, forged our books and altered them against God's will. None of that, of course, is true. But it is true that we do have an intimate relationship with our texts. And ever since the invention of the printing press in particular, Jewish homes are marked by the Jewish books around. But we're going to work on some different postures, ways of holding the Siddur, or of making it part of our worship service, where it is not just a tome of words that can sometimes be intimidating or sometimes be alienating, depending upon our ability to access the text itself, but realize that in the Siddur is a spiritual portal just by its presence, not even including the words that are in it. Obviously, I hope that you will study more, learn more about the words, and use those to deepen your understanding of our faith and your own spirit. But for today, we're just going to work on its physicality rather than its content. The content will be more in the sanctuary. So that's the intro. Let us go ahead and get ready. You can either hold the Siddur for now, if you find its presence comfortable, or you can set it to one side. We will be holding it more deliberately later on during our practice. So for the moment, be comfortable. It's the first step to any time that we spend, not only in the synagogue, but in prayer at any point. To pray when rushed, when anxious, is much more difficult, certainly needed at times of stress, but to give ourselves that moment of preparation, that moment to allow ourselves to become more at peace and at rest before we seek to engage the deeper parts of our spirit, is essential. If you simply examine your presence, it can have a calming feeling, recognizing just how you sit in a chair, taking stock, perhaps starting with the pressure of your feet against the floor, feeling that secure understanding, as we say, that God created the universe, the world, and it stands firm, not to be toppled. That rises up through our legs, our hips, our waist, holding us comfortably in place. Coming up through our chest, we feel the gentle rise and fall as our body continues its beautiful ongoing task of taking in the air from outside, using and then allowing it to be released, to be used by the world as well. All the while our heart continues to pump and shift and move what is needed inside us. Moving up from the chest, through the neck, a subtle pillar holding atop our head, through the top of our head, and out into the world. We sit, but we do not sit alone. We sit, but we are connected. But the first thing that we recognize when we focus like this is ourself. This is not selfish. This is not egotistical. To recognize the miracle of our own existence is to begin the path of spiritual understanding, to recognize the beauty that is our own soul, is to begin to understand the beauty of all that God has made. Each day we respond to this miracle with the phrase, Elohai nishama shenatata bi tehorahi. My God, the soul that you have placed within me, it is pure. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, neshama, shenatata bi, shenatata bi, tehorahi, tehorahi. Oh my God, oh my God, the soul that you placed in me, that you placed in me, it is pure, it is pure. Elohai, oh my God, neshama, the soul, shenatata bi, that you placed in me, tehorahi, it is pure. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, neshama, shenatata bi, shenatata bi, tehorahi, tehorahi. As we recognize the miracle and beauty of our own creation and existence, we recognize that we do not exist alone. We sit here in a room with others. They too share in that miracle of creation. The walls of the building itself give testament to the establishment of this world. For this room sits on the land sits in the country sits on the continent on the planet in space, in our corner of the space, but one part of a vast and beautiful cosmos. From noticing ourselves, we are led to notice all of this. To notice all of this is to notice the hand of God, to see in the miracle of creation the ripples of God's design, of God's justice and will, edging us ever closer to the time of redemption, if we allow ourselves to move in harmony with it, if we allow our lives to be guided by God's instructions, by God's gifts, to find God's peace, to help us visualize this harmony with the world around us. We draw from our traditions the words, Baruch she'amar, blessed is the one that spoke there at the beginning of creation, V'haya ha'olam, and the universe came to be, all of time and space. Baruch Hu, blessed is that one. We see the blessing from the beginning of creation, and the blessing through creation's fulfillment. Allow yourself to focus on your breathing, to divide it into the 4 sections of this phrase. With Baruch She'amar, we breathe in, allowing ourselves to feel the fullness of the potential of creation. V'haya ha'olam, we hold on to that breath, we hold on to that energy, the power of the world around us. Baruch Hu, we release, allowing ourselves to draw empty without fear or hesitation. And then a moment of peace as we allow ourselves to be fully relaxed, neither breathing in nor out, not holding, but allowing ourselves to have that moment of emptiness. And then the cycle resumes. Baruch She'amar, V'haya ha'olam, Baruch Hu. 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 As you continue at your own pace, with each of the cycles, try to allow yourself to be filled more, to be emptied more, to hold more, and yet to need less. Seeking in this cycle the peace that comes from knowing that what we need is there in plenty, ready to fill us whenever we reach out, filling us as deeply as we care to draw from this source of life. Holding it, knowing that it will sustain us, knowing that when we need to exhale, we can do so peacefully. No explosion, no stress. When we release, it is not being pulled from us. It is us returning it to the world, grateful and ready to be at peace until our next need, knowing that our next need will be met, and so we can be at peace even in those moments of emptiness. We fear nothing from the void, for this world is never empty. We are always suffused with God's power and light, whether it be breathing in or breathing out, whether it be holding or whether it be releasing all. Baruch She'amar, V'haya ha'olam, Baruch Hu. It is in this pattern that we come to realize the joyous chorus of the world around us. When we move in harmony with it, we can begin to hear the celestial music, the symphony of creation. That each and every part has a voice to share. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallel, Hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallel, Hallelujah. 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 Kol hanshama tehallel, Hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallel, Hallelujah. In that moment of understanding, as we join with all around us singing, we recognize that all of us not only sing to that one, but all of us are from that one. The essential echad, the essential unity of God's nature, of God's existence. It draws us towards making us realize that when we say God, when we say Eloheinu, our God, we are not speaking of some mere reflection of human conceit, of human construction and vague scrambling against the dark. But we are speaking of the echad from which all of the universe flowed, a oneness that transcends human understanding, a oneness that is the foundation of all. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. We speak of God's oneness, of God's essence, of God's existence. And though we may feel twinges, sparks, catch glimpses of God, how do we know what God wishes us to know? How do God's ideas flow into this world? God's ideas are not as ours. Ours come and go, fleeting concepts in our mind, some remembered, some forgotten, some in error, some correct. Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker, the Eternal One of Israel, does not speak but what is true, and the truth does not change. God's ideas are God's essence, and they are eternal. There have been those in our past that could hear these thoughts, see God's essence in the world, understand it without the veil, without the illusions. And they wrote, trying to capture in the scratchings on stone or parchment the ideas that would be able to guide us so that we too could understand, could know, could feel the path we should walk. They crafted our books. This time I invite you to pick up your Siddur if you have not already been holding it. Feel its weight, its form, the edges, seemingly bounded, a few hundred pages, words of our faith, of our tradition, yet they reach to the infinite. These books, these words, passed on shards of pottery, scratched into amulets, held in small fragments by those who had to leave, travel, hide, compiled decade after decade, the strongest and most beautiful phrases coming together to be passed lovingly from one generation to another. These words are gateways to the understanding, to the essence of God. We cherish our books, for they open up that vista. But it is not only to help us understand God. Our books help us understand each other, for they are crafted by human hands. They are expressions of the love, devotion, the hopes, the fears, all that their authors put into them. Even as guided by God's hand, the form of the expression, the poetry, the insights, these are reflections of the minds of others. How hard it is for what is in our hearts and in our minds and in our souls to touch another person, to ever express all that is in us. And yet our books capture those dreams, those hopes, that yearning from people we will never know, thousands of years ago. Laid into these books, they traveled to us. As we read, as we unlock, their thoughts become our thoughts. They enter our hearts, strengthening us with their wisdom, reassuring us with their messages. A book is a magical gift, not only leading us to God, but leading us to each other. We hold and we cherish our books carefully. During our tefillot, our prayer, the book can become a powerful tool for us to focus in our kavanah, our intentional will, through our prayer. If you hold your book, tap its edge, gently pressing to your forehead. Holding it there, you cannot but help to bow your head, incline the neck, allowing yourself to reach forward to touch the book as it reaches upwards. That gentle pressure provides a point of focus, urging us to allow our thoughts that are within to escape, to take form outside, to not remain trapped only within the confines of our mind. Gently pressed against our face, it provides a shelter, a tent, a sukkah. It shelters us safely from all that we may fear, allowing us to speak, to move our lips in private prayer, express what is in our heart's desire. But we should do so without fear of what others may think or say, without fear if others may see the tears on our cheeks. The private shelter of holding our Siddur thus allows us to open more freely. so too, if you transfer the Siddur to your chest, hold it tight to your heart as though you were hugging it. The Siddur is strong and firm. It returns our love and devotion, filled with the passion and the care of all of our generations. It was crafted so that we would have this to hold, and so it could hold us, helping us to find words to express our joy, helping us to find words to express our sorrow, helping us to find the words to express our fears, helping us to find words to express our hopes, always encouraging us to make those feelings real, to come from our heart and to reach our lips, that we should speak of our joys and of our sorrows. We should speak of our fears and of our hopes. No matter how tightly we hold to the Siddur, it will always be there to help us. It is there as a shield to our heart, providing that protection to allow our heart to speak freely before the throne of God, before our community of friends. Transfer the Siddur in front of you, held in your lap or at your waist if you stand. Some will do so, having just returned from prayer, perhaps their finger tucked as a bookmark, waiting for the next page. I often find myself in this posture. But the Siddur in our hands is not idle. The Siddur in our hands reminds us that from our head, our heart, we are meant and called to action. The Siddur is a shield, it is a shelter, but it is also a tool calling us outwards from ourselves. We are not meant to hide forever beneath its pages and in its words. Those words call us to change our life in small ways and large. They call us to act in the ways of God. They call us to live a holy and beautiful life with love for ourselves and love for those around us and love for this world. And love demands action. In our hands, we hold a powerful tool, a weapon that can change this world for good, by granting us the strength to act upon what our mind and heart understand from our exposure to the divine. Wherever we hold the Siddur, only in our hands, clasped to our chest, nestled against our brow, the Siddur opens us. It is not a barrier. It is not an enemy. It is not a challenge. The Siddur is there as a ladder to help us ascend, past whatever limitations we may think we have. Even if we do not understand its words completely, it understands us. Even if we cannot comprehend all that it wants to teach, its words will penetrate, its very presence will galvanize to help us rise higher than we think we can. Our ancestors passed us these books to enable us to rise higher than them. And we too will pass the books that we write and the wisdom that we gain from them to those who come next. And so we will draw closer to that time of redemption. Too often we take our books for granted. Too often we let them sit on the shelves, passive markers, tombstones in our life. Each one was crafted lovingly, carefully, to help each of us. The authors may not have known us personally, but they knew that we would need those words. When we open them, when we hold them, when we cherish them, we allow that to happen. When we use them, the world becomes a different place. When we move into the sanctuary in just a minute, we will be a few minutes from the ultimate book reading, from the reading of the Torah. See in that the unbroken chain and the unbroken strength that comes from what God wishes for this world. Draw from its words, in particular this week, the story of Joseph and his brothers being reconciled and coming together again, this time in love, and see what a future that can build. Shabbat Shalom, and Happy New Year as well.